Yeah, it's live and then it goes on goes on YouTube.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's streaming live to YouTube, and then it takes like it depends. I don't know. It's like a hit or miss. Some days it goes right away, and then some days it takes like a day to process. I don't know why. That's just how YouTube
Okay.
works. But yeah, like no one usually watches live, but I like them live because it's so much easier than just recording. Because with recording, you have to get a good camera, you got to have all these programs. I'm just like, I'm not doing all that. I'd rather just do it this way, and it's cheaper, and I mean, it does the job.
Okay.
So let's start off. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves, like a little bit about your background and stuff.
Okay. So my name is Natasha Hanson. I am 38. What the heck? The screen went black.
I can still see you.
That's so weird that it did that. Okay. So I grew up in Porterfield and Marinette, grew up across the street from you for a while, Travis. Um, and then I joined the military. I did 2 years National Guard, 4 years active duty. Um, Moved back home, and I've been home ever since. Right now, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have 4 boys, and my husband is a carpenter. So that pretty much sums up
Yeah.
my life.
Well, me, Alicia Bales here. We're sisters, and mine is pretty similar to yours. And I know you, Travis, obviously, good old neighbor. Um, but yeah, I also joined the military a year after you, something like that. And we served together for a little bit until you decided to go active.
And you promised you would follow, and you never did.
I was going to. Great. But yeah, did 11 years in the military, deployed twice. And after that, I figured out that I wanted to be an electrician. So that's what I'm doing as of now.
Oh, okay. So did you guys, when you guys talked about like joining the military, was it kind of like, did you guys both talk about it and then like made the decision, or was it just kind of like, well,
No.
she
So
joined, now I want to join, kind of thing?
at the time that I made the decision, like me and Alicia weren't like super close. We had our own friend groups. Our lives were like just taking 2 separate tracks at that time, I think. And the friend group I was in, I was friends with a couple guys who had joined the National Guard. And they talked about how great it was and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to do it. So, and I wanted an opportunity to get out of Marinette because I felt like if I didn't get out, I was going to be stuck there forever and just end up like everybody else in Marinette. So I'm like, I need to get out of here. And that's why I did it. And then I don't know, you must have joined because of me.
I think it's the day. No, I saw that you went in, and that was really appealing because I mean, honestly, yeah, like what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounded great. An opportunity to get out of Marinette, see the world a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and do something different than what most people would do in Marinette. You know, a lot of people do like to stick around. There's nothing wrong with that, but it was just in my eyes, I wanted change,
Mhm.
and yeah, I followed. It seemed awesome what you were doing. You got to get out of Wisconsin, and I was like, I want that. So yeah, I really pushed for it, and I was able to convince my dad to allow me to go in early at 17.
Oh wow.
And another thing, I wanted to be able to go to college. And I knew that my parents weren't going to be able to cover that cost. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to cover that cost. And so by joining, um, the Army pretty much covers all of your education costs. So,
Yeah, I think like military, from my experience, like I've seen, it's always like the small towns that hit the most when it comes to military, because there's not a lot of opportunities. Like college, yeah, I mean those are great opportunities, but like even if you get even if you get financial aid, I mean, you're still covering loans eventually. And that even then, like now I'm already like almost $40,000 in debts and like I got to pay that back. And it's great to have those things, especially, I mean, they just added another branch a couple of years ago. And I think I'm not so sure on the numbers of how many people join, but I'm sure it stays pretty steady over the years because they offer so many opportunities. I've even thought about it a few times because it's like, well, like, yeah, you might go through hell, but at least you get, at least you get a great opportunity out of it. And it's a good experience from what I hear. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You see that so many times. People are complaining how much in debt, which, by the way, I'm really proud of you. And it's just like that, though. Yeah, they get in massive debt, and you're sitting there trying to chase to pay that off. And it's like, man. So a lot of people do end up choosing that, trying to go in the military to help with college, and you don't want a big bill when you're done. And yeah.
They even have recruiters at the college that I go at, which is like interesting because it's like, I've always been curious about it because it's like, okay, well, if you join, like, let's say you're in the middle of your degree, like if you join, or do you keep going to college while you're in the military, or is it like, do you have to like, well, you got to miss out a couple, or like a year or whatever it is, and then you go back? I'm like, well, that's kind of an interesting thing, I guess, but I don't know. I've thought about just walking in there and talking with them, but then it's like, oh, I don't want to. Then it's going to get in the conversation. Oh, maybe you should join. It's like, no, I'm good. I'm past that already. Like, it's just that I truly, I'm grateful for people that do, because I mean, but me, I just couldn't do it. I don't have that, like, I guess that mindset, because it's a very, I don't think like anybody can join. I don't believe that. I think it's just one of those, you're willing to learn, willing to, have that like to keep going kind of mindset. And I just don't have it in me. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, right? When you get there, you're like, what did I get myself into? Like, I don't think I want to do this now. Like, wait, hold on. Can I go back?
Yeah.
But
there are many times I was like, why did I do this?
Yeah.
But like you said, you just got to keep pushing, because nobody's going to do it for you. You got to do it yourself. So, and honestly, I think you could do it, Travis. You're a tough guy.
No, I mean, it's not that I'm like, it's not that I disrespect authority by all means. It's very hard for me to listen to authority. Even like having a boss, it's like, okay, well, I have a different opinion, and I'm not be like, no, I'm not going to do that. But it's more so like, well, I just think your way sucks. So like, I don't, and so, and to me, and I've had family that went in the military. I've had friends and all that, and they've all, I've never heard bad things, but it's hard for me to be, I don't even know, I guess, controlled in a way. Like it's hard for me to be told you got to do this and there's no questions asked, blah, blah, blah. And obviously I just don't have that mentality. I've had that in me since middle school, but I don't know. And like I said, I'm grateful for people that do. And honestly, I give them props, because it's like, I just don't have it. I don't have that mindset. I'm kind of like a free spirit in a sense. So.
Right.
So my question is, so going into the military, do you think your mindset changed afterwards, or do you think it kind of stayed the same? Like, as in like how you looked at life and how you've seen things and before you seen things, is any of that changed at all?
I think for me, it was a huge change. So kind of like what you were saying before, you're used to doing your own thing and, thinking your own way. And once you get in, all that changes. They pretty much break you down to nothing and then build you up. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was like that for a very long time throughout my whole military career. And especially even when you go overseas and all that, that changes you a lot. And depending on what you face while you're over there, it changes every aspect, I feel like, in life. What you're grateful for, how you look at things. The world is different, and your appreciation for things, and yeah, it's just very different. Very.
And it's hard to explain to somebody who hasn't experienced it, because I don't know if we really have the right words to fully express all of it, but it really does help you to not take life for granted, as a lot of people do. But yeah, it really changes your whole view on everything, every aspect of life. Like you then view everything through these different glasses that never really go away. So
Yeah.
I've always said too, it's, when people like talk about war or they talk about politics, I think the first people, I believe, should have the first opinion, and not to say like be like, oh, not in a praising way, but I think getting the opinions, or even getting the talk, just to talk with like a soldier or a vet, I feel like you get more of an insight of things, because it's like even when you're talking, when someone's talking about war, like, yeah, you can get all the news media you want, but those are not the people that actually experienced it. It's so hard to even have, like, I guess, what you would call, like, credibility when you never experienced it yourself. So I've always, like, I didn't hear war stories from like, yeah, of course I've heard war stories from from school and stuff, but like talking with vets, it was like that even changes your mind. It's like, wow, I never thought of that way. I've always thought of it just like, oh, they go to war, do the thing, come back. No, there's so much more into it. I've even had the opportunity to read war letters from from World War II at my school in the archives, like the actual letters, and just the stuff that they say, that they said to their families, and like the stuff that they said that they went through. It was like, I even cried a couple times. I was like, holy man, like this is crazy. Like it's like you're getting an experience that not very many people get. And I always felt, did you kind of turning this over a little bit, have you guys, now this is going to kind of go along with my question, but have you guys dealt with mental health at all before the military? Like, was there like any anxiety, depression, or anything like that you felt before going into the military?
definitely. We come from a divorced family, so that really took a toll on us, and even each other, in completely different ways, because we both experienced the divorce in different ways. So, and we don't need to get into all that, but we definitely struggled with depression and anxiety prior to, and then going in, we both experienced deployments to Afghanistan. Alisha also went to Iraq. And I was a truck driver. You had a little bit different job than me.
The first one I did, but the second one I was truck driver in Afghanistan.
Yeah. So just having that job alone is a very dangerous job, because you're literally right in the middle of the battlefield. So we did experience a lot of close calls. And by the grace of God, we made it home. But that really affects your mental health. Just coming home and trying to be a regular person again, it's not that easy. So
was there, you guys were the Christians while you were deployed, am I right?
yeah, we believed in God. I wouldn't really say that I was walking out my faith at that time. I did pray. I read my Bible, but he was kind of on the back burner at that time. So
I would
Okay.
probably say the same, where you're not as close as you probably should have been, but you definitely be praying, that's for sure, before you went outside the wire. Yeah.
So afterwards you got more, I guess your beliefs became stronger afterwards, after deployment and everything.
they did, but it took some time. Let's
Mhm.
just put it that way. So we didn't get home. We were like, oh yes, we're all in for Jesus. I would
Yeah.
say right now I am, but
Right.
it took quite a while to get here. So
Do you think, well, going through the military and everything and going through deployment and how would you say, like, dealing with the mental health previously versus now, like, you think it was a tremendous change? Do you think just going through that experience along with, believing in God and, following following the path, you think dealing with, okay, well, parents divorce and all this other stuff that's going on, and it has just helped you tremendously over time?
yeah, so I would say, and interrupt me at any time if you want to, but after the military, God was still like on the back burner of my life. I believed in him. I prayed sometimes, only when I really needed something, stuff like that.
Same.
And I was dealing with a lot of like depression, anxiety, like just so fearful to go anywhere or do anything because I always was looking over my shoulder, thinking that something bad was going to happen.
Yeah, the anxiety can be overwhelming.
Mhm.
Overwhelming.
And so I would seek mental health help through the VA. So I would get counseling. I would take medicine. I took pills for depression. I took pills for anxiety. I took all sorts of different pills, and they would seem to help for a little bit, maybe a few weeks or a couple months. But I always ended up stopping them because they made me feel like crap. And then just not really knowing where to go from there because I was still struggling so severely. I even dealt with like suicidal ideation, thoughts of suicide because I just didn't know what else to do. And so coming into a closer relationship with God, I would feel less anxiety, less depression. It always felt like it was still there, like underneath the surface. But the closer I got to him, I felt like the quieter it got, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it was pretty much the same, though. Exactly what you said. It's pretty much the same, and it's the depression's overwhelming, the anxiety is overwhelming, and then it's just like, well, these pills are going to take care of everything. So you take that, and it's not working. So try this instead, and it's just this vicious circle of this keep happening. And finally, it's just like when you finally surrender and to God and everything, and you pray and you pray, and it's like that where it just can be taken away, where I was able to get off all my meds and all that, where the anxiety was gone, the depression was gone, where I was like, this is unbelievable. And I'm so grateful. Like, praise you, God. Thank you. So I never thought that was possible until finally I got to that point in my life where I just surrendered everything to him. And it was the most amazing, beautiful thing that I've ever experienced.
I mean, when you guys talk about meds, and that's how I am. Like, I've been on probably almost every anti-anxiety, antidepressant, not everyone, but pretty close. And I've learned that I've just had to just deal with it because it's like, and everyone obviously has their own outlets. And like me, I guess, I don't know, just haven't found that yet. But I think it's interesting, like, when I hear people say, well, I'm on anti-anxiety meds and I never feel it again. It's almost like when people say that, I feel like maybe you just didn't have anxiety in the first place. Cause it's like, it's hard to believe that when it's like, well, then why am I different? You know what I mean? Like, and they'll say, well, there's, everyone's, you've tried one, try this one. Well, I have tried that one. I tried that one. I
Right.
tried that one. And just either they made me feel worse, or they didn't do anything to me. And then it's like you start to question yourself, like, is this, maybe I'm not, maybe I don't have anxiety. But then when you're off, when you don't have them and you're having bad days, 4, 5, 6, days out of the week, you're like, what the heck? So, I mean,
I remember like my anxiety would get so bad. It felt like I was literally like hyperventilating, dying. I thought I'm dying right now. My anxiety would get so bad where it's just like you said, the meds, it's like I'm taking them, but why is it not doing its job? Why is it not kicking in when it's supposed to? Why is it still happening? And it's just like, try this one. And then it seems like it's working. We're like, wow, this might be the one. And yeah, it helps a little bit, but it doesn't ever take it completely away.
Yeah. Have you, Tasha, have you been on any like anti-anxiety or antidepressants or anything like that?
Yes, I've tried lots of different kinds. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I would try them for a little bit. They may have seemed to help a little bit, but I would always just end up stop taking them because they weren't really doing anything.
So I mean, I know you say, with you, going on the path of God and everything, you say, do you ever feel it at all? Like, is there a day where you're just like, it's just a really hard day and then it just hits you like, a bag of bricks?
I mean, yeah, there's definitely times where that'll happen. You start to feel that way. And what I've learned and what's gotten rid of it is that's why prayer, I've learned is so important. And when it does say in there, it's like the power in Jesus. Like that is so very true, because once you can start doing that and rely on him for everything, he can take care of it, where it's just like, wow, like I just can't believe, I wish the whole world knew. So then it's just like it helps so much. And I never saw it in that way. I never believed it until finally, like I said, I surrendered. I'm like, this is possible. Like I can't believe this. This is awesome. And it's like, I don't have to sit there and go and to the VA, sit there for hours and try and figure out what med and what I'm going to do and go through all those trials like that,
Yeah. And there was even a time where I was organizing a 5K run in Crivets. It was called PTSD Run for Recovery. And I was hoping to help veterans find a way to deal with their anxiety and depression in a safe way, because I hated seeing and hearing about all of the suicides by veterans. And so I was trying to organize an event that would maybe help veterans find a better way to deal with it. And I did that for 4 years in a row. That was a long time ago. I think it was like 2017 to 2020. But yeah, that was really helpful for me too, because I would invite other organizations that help veterans with PTSD to like show veterans that they have other options. Like maybe you would enjoy going horseback riding to help with your anxiety or depression, or seeing a counselor, or going for different type of therapies like chiropractic care, massage therapy, stuff like that. So I was looking for ways to help myself as well as help other veterans. And, it helps you feel better for a little bit, but it would always come back and like attack you unexpectedly. And so when I finally, like Alisha said, surrendered it all to God, I feel 100% better. And there are days where I'm like, when I feel it sneaking up on me again, and I'm like, nope, not today, Satan. And I start praying and I start worshiping and praising God. And honestly, it disappears. And I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. I'm never, me personally, like I've been religious in the past. I still, I don't know. I struggle with it some days, but I don't know. It's so much focus. Like, and I understand why people, go to it. I get it. Like I don't know. I've always said, if I have to ask too many questions and I get no answers, I try to ignore it. I don't know. It's just, that's like how how I think about it.
Can we ask what your beliefs are as far as God and Jesus and the Bible?
Yeah, I'm like, I like to think of theories. I do believe there is a God out there. I do believe, I guess it's just where I stop is just with the Bible. I just feel like, and I understand there's different interpretations. You know, you got Lutheran, Catholic, and all that other stuff. But I think it's hard to believe something as far as the Bible goes because there's just too many questions. And then, like, when I ask questions, no matter who it is, I just feel like they either get offended or they like it turns into an argument. And it's like I was just asking questions. I wasn't trying to like, you know, make you question your own beliefs. Like these are just simple questions. I think the reason why I do believe there's a God, whoever that may be, is because it's more, to me, it's more factual than it's not. And the reason why I think that's like, because if you look at everything on this earth, and if you say, well, it was a big bang, it blew up and there you go. I'm like, okay, wouldn't you think the world would just like crumble? Because you're talking about, look at everything on this earth. You got trees that gives off oxygen. You have grass that helps feed animals. You have animals that feed us. And it's like all big circle life. Everything has some type of purpose, maybe not spiritual purpose, but we all have like a real purpose. Our hands are there to grab something. Our mouth is there to help eat. Our stomach is there to digest. Like we have all these like functions that have a purpose. You're telling me that a Big Bang did all that? I can't believe that. It doesn't make any sense. There's no, and then when you ask, I've asked atheists that and they're like, well, I don't know, I haven't read that part yet. I'm like, yeah, because it's probably not going to give you that answer. So that's why I do believe there's a higher power. And that's why I'm stuck in between. So I guess this is part of the journey that I'm on, like just doing the podcast. I'm here to learn, like whether it's from a Christian or from an atheist or whoever. Like I just want to get as much information as I can without, because if I go online and you ask, is there a God? Obviously it's not going to tell you there is. If there's not no like real article there that's going to show you like hardcore facts, but I want to learn every way I can, and maybe that's my journey. So that's the way I look at it.
And I think, like you were saying before, I hear that often. A lot of people well, I ask this and I ask that, and I don't hear anything. And I guess it's when you can surrender and actually just not be surrounded by all the noise. It's like, I want this right now and I want to hear it right now. And it's just like, well, if we take time to actually push away the TV, the apps, the phone, all of these things, and actually just take that time to finally just be in silence for a minute. But it's just, the world now is constant noise from every aspect. Everywhere you look, it's just, there's a billion things going on. And it's like, when does anybody anymore sit in just silence, and spend that time? Because you're leaving zero opportunity for anything that needs to be passed along or spoken about,
I think a lot of that too is that we became too, how can I put this? Like we became too like reliant on, whether it's technology, or we became reliant like on things we shouldn't be reliant on. I've always said that we created too much, like you think of, like you talk about, I don't know, like 100 years ago, families shared information with each other. That was a family thing. It was a generational thing. Well, now it's like, well, I don't care what my mom says. My mom, she's just, she's my dad. They're crazy. What do they know? And then I go and talk to a professor who's very biased, and they're going to go by them, even though like their information could be wrong. So it's just like, well, what do I, who do you, then you just end up with false information. I think we kind of need to go back to that too, because we're not only just learning knowledge on, who created us or whatever, or like just the meaning of life, whatever it is. You're learning skills. You're learning, how to do things, how to be independent. and that's just it's slowly going away. So I think that's a lot of the reasons, because like I can go online and there's the craziest belief in the world, and then you got people believing it. Now you got a bunch of people just believing, I don't know, like these cults or whatever you want to call them. And I just think that it's just steering us in a really bad direction. Like I don't care who you are. That's the truth.
Yeah, I agree.
So you know the story of the gospel then, right? That we're sinners and Jesus came and lived a perfect life and died on the cross for us to save us from our sin. You've heard that. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I really like to think about when I have questions and I can't find anybody to give me the answers, Jesus has the answers we need for the purpose he created us for. And so what I really like to tell people is that if we believe that Jesus died on the cross for us, we have to believe that he still wants to talk to us, because we can't believe he died on the cross for us, but now he's not going to speak to me. He loves us so much. He wants to give us his wisdom and his truth and his knowledge that he has for us individually, because he does have a special purpose for each one of us. And he wants to share that with you through his Holy Spirit, but we just have to give him the time to be able to do that and the opportunity. And so another thing too is like, I think it's great that we have questions, but we have to be careful, like, oh, this person couldn't answer my question, so I'm not going to believe this or that. Well, if God is really God, we're always going to have questions. Like, he is so infinitely full of wisdom and truth that we could never completely understand everything about the Bible or everything about God, because he's just so much greater than us in that way. And I believe when we get to heaven, we're going to understand a lot more. But right now, I think it's good that we have questions, because if we did understand everything right now, like, he wouldn't be God. You know what I mean?
And I mean, I get that. I guess, and like, I've kind of gotten over some things that I believed in the past too. It's because it's whatever. But and I don't like. One question would be brought up. It's like, well, why would God create cancer? Or why would? And it's like, I don't think God created those things. I think humankind created those things. It's the same thing with when we talk about depression, anxiety. I mean, obviously he would want to take away something that is causing people hurt or whatever it is. But so what would you? So my question, what do you guys ever look into the cause of depression or anxiety?
Well, of course. I mean, before surrendering all that, constantly, all the time, and thinking, how do I get rid of this? And obviously this med's not working, so I need to find something that works for me. And then after surrendering and all that, and learning that, you can pray and ask that this is taken away, and just rebuke all of those things, where it's anything that is of God is good. And anything that is evil, obviously, like depression, anxiety, that's not from God. And it's we're in a spiritual warfare day in, day out, every day. We're just you're constantly going to have those attacks. That's why it's so important to build a relationship with God, with Jesus, because that's your weapon against everything, your trials that you go through, all of those things. That is your weapon.
Yeah. So well, learning it, obviously I'm actually doing, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm just gathering information right now. They even found that people like to say it's a chemical imbalance. And it's actually too simplistic. They've actually said that's a too simplistic explanation. So they don't know if it's an actual chemical imbalance. They just know that there's just whatever the issue is, depression, whether it's anxiety, they don't really know. Yeah, the dopamine, they don't know what's going on. Even so, the serotonin, they say, well, the serotonin levels are too high or the serotonin levels are too low. Well, and that's why that's probably why I shouldn't take meds, because it doesn't know if it doesn't mean it's actually going to fix it. But I think like one thing with me, like honestly, I mean, there's tons of theories on what caused it, but I don't even know. Like I'm at the point where it's like, okay, well maybe it is just all in our heads and we don't know, maybe it's just like it's just made up in our brain. But crap, I'm losing train of thought. What? So like, what do you feel like what it is? Like, what do you go by the whole chemical imbalance thing, or is it like, do you think it's just something that like genetics? What do you like? What's your belief, or what's your guys' beliefs on that?
Do you want to talk? You're going to.
I feel like you're ready to jump in, but you go first. Go ahead.
I feel like it's going to be different for each person, depending on like our life experiences and things like that. Like, for example, some of it could be our gut health. I know, Ryan, you had Ryan on your podcast, I think, for your first one, and you talked a little bit about gut health. Did you say you had celiac disease or something like that? No.
Anyway, I have IBS, but not.
You had started talking about gut health, and Ryan was like, oh, let's not get off track here. I'm like, gut health has so much to do with mental health, because actually our gut is called our second brain, and that's where our serotonin is produced. And so if we have a healthy gut, it'll give us better chances of having good mental health too. So I think making sure that we're taking a really good probiotic is super helpful, as well as other things like eating right, drinking good things for our body and stuff like that, just taking care of ourselves. But then also there's the aspect of spirituality too, because like Alisha said, we are, whether we liked it or not, whether we realize it or not, we're all in a spiritual war. And so it's going on around us all day, every day. And the cool thing is we get to pick sides. Are we going to be on the side of God? Or if we're not choosing that side, by default, we're automatically on the other side. But the Bible even talks about anxiety and depression. I will have to search for it, but there's a spot where it talks about a spirit of heaviness, which is depression, and it says that you can put on hold on, let me just search it really quick on my phone.
She's saying that. I think too, as well as all of this, you have to think people these days, I feel like a lot of times nobody wants to cook a meal, right? And, or even like the processed foods and all that. It's an easier go-to, order in, go get fast food, get all the processed foods. It's easier, it's convenient. And I mean, the obesity and all that that's been going on, I mean, it wasn't like that how many years ago? So I think it's a lot to do with picking the right foods to eat and actually just cooking at home, right? And not adding all that process to it, all the processed foods. Once you look at what's in there, it's insane. And so I also changed my diet, and I know that has helped as well. But it's pretty much those two main factors. Yeah.
And I'm going to get into it because I found it on my phone. But one thing I wanted to say too is that part of the devil's job is to deceive us. And so he wants to trick everybody into believing that there's no spiritual war, that it's not him versus Jesus, all of these things. And he's got us so blinded by the truth. And so when we realize that we actually are in a war, we need to then take up our armor and fight against it. And we can get all of those things that we need to fight through Jesus and his word. And so I just wanted to bring up this spirit of heaviness that it talks about in the Bible, which is depression. In Isaiah 61, I'm just going to read this little excerpt, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me, and this is Jesus talking, to preach good tidings to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberties to the captives, and the opening of the prison to those who are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of God, of our God, to comfort all who mourn, to console those who mourn in Zion, to give them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they may be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he may be glorified. So here it tells us that Jesus himself is giving us an answer to our spirit of heaviness, to depression. When we put on the garment of praise, when we feel that heaviness coming on us and the depression, and we choose to start praising and worshiping God, that spirit of heaviness has to leave, because it's sent by the enemy of our souls. And so Jesus has an answer for it. And it also talks about anxiety, I think, in Psalms somewhere. So
Yeah, and like that's, I mean, I'll have to admit that's kind of crazy too, because back then there was no, I mean, anxiety wasn't like that. That was just like, oh, you're having a bad day. It was like, get
yeah.
back out the farm or wherever, whatever you're doing, do your thing. Yeah, and like too, it's, I also look at too, it's like if we go back to the 50s or the 40s, that was like when, you know, Christianity was probably at one of its highest. I mean, in America anyways, because I mean, everyone, almost everyone was a Christian, you know, in a sense. Like you go back then and you think, like, because they say like depression was at it, you know, depression, anxiety numbers were actually low. We've actually gained, I think it was like, what was I just saw the number the other day. It was like, what was it like? We gained 40% just in the past 30 some years of like people that they go by, people that's checked into mental health hospitals, people that have seen like counselors, they go by those numbers, and it just since for over 30 years ago. So it's just the numbers keep growing. So it just kind of makes you wonder. And that, I mean, and that was another thing that was in the back of my head too, is like, well, it's kind of crazy. Like I've never met anyone that's depressed that was a Christian, like depressed. I mean, someone that just hated life. So it's like, that's always been kind of a thing in the back of my head. Like maybe there is something to it. I guess it's just, for me, it's just hard because I don't know. I'm like, even me and my wife fight about this kind of stuff, because it's like, we'll be like, well, I don't see it. So it's hard for, not just like anything. Like if I don't see the evidence clear in front of my face, it's very hard for me to believe it. Like, I mean, she's not a Christian or anything. Well, I mean, like, I'm saying, like, because you could tell me, right? You could tell me all day, like, well, I'm not depressed anymore. But I mean, do I truly know? I mean, it's like when I hate, one thing I do, well, that does bother me too, is like with people that, you know, they say, all you got to do is exercise. It's like, yeah, I've done that. I've seen people that exercise every day. They've never missed a day in 10 years. And they're like, I'm still depressed. I still hate, you know, and it's like, well, what are they, you know, what is it about them? Like, are they just doing it wrong? Like, I don't think they're doing it wrong. I just think maybe there's more to it. So that's why it's hard for me, like, to jump on it. It's hard for me to even believe, like, even when a professor is showing me like, well, it says it in the book, I still can't believe it, man. I need to see like actual proof, you know, kind of thing. I question everything. That's just how I am. That's just how I'm built. Not to say that I'm going to sit there and argue it, or I'm going to say you're wrong, or say, well, there's this. It's just, it's my own thing where I got to go back and study. I got to do my thing, you know. So
well, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's good to question things instead of just conforming to the standard of society.
Right.
But definitely, like, if you have questions and you're wondering if it's true or not, just pray about it. Say, God, if you're real, if surrendering my life to you actually works and helps relieve anxiety and depression, just reveal that to me. And he will, because he does love you and he wants to see you set free from that stuff. He didn't create you so you could walk around depressed and anxious all the time. So
I think it's just honestly for a lot of people, are they willing to take that leap of faith, And with the world today, they want everything right now. And it's like, whoa, slow down. You're on God's timing right now. And it's like, you got to take that leap of faith. And if you can have that patience and let it happen and surrender, it's like you will be pleasantly surprised with how he will work in your life. It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's even like with meds, they make you wait like 4 weeks before it actually, works.
Right.
It's like I always thought that was funny. Like I heard a comedian once say, he was like, I think that kind of defeats the whole point. Like I'm depressed now. I can't wait 4 weeks for this to kick in. Like it's happening now. Like, so, and I mean, and I agree with that. Like everyone wants like instant gratification. We're so used to that. It's like you no longer have to go to the library to figure out a question about history or whatever. You can do it right on your phone. Not necessarily true all the time, but it's right there to tell you whether it's true or not. Everybody's just a fact checker at this point. And I think too, we've lost our patience and we lost the value of a lot of things in life too. I always said one of the things, I mean, I've been saying for the past few months, I should say, is like one of the biggest things I think what's led to depression and anxiety and all these things is the value of human life. I think we just don't care about life anymore. A lot of people might say they do, but they don't really show it. And then people have showed their true colors just in the past year about how they feel about value of life. And then we wonder why. Well, why is everyone so depressed? Well, because everybody we have no care. We don't care about our neighbor.
So many hearts have grown cold, and it's so sad to see that in the world. Because I definitely have been witness to that, seeing how many hearts really go cold, and you're like, man, it's sad.
I think too, it's I think people we're kind of taught not to value human life either. What does it matter if that person died? But you didn't know them. It's like, no, but it's still a human life, and we're just taught to hate people based off their beliefs or what team they root for. It's kind of just stupid.
Yeah,
it's all a big deception from the enemy. But
Men's
another thing too is
cold.
like every day we get to make a decision about what we're going to put our faith in and our trust in, because whether you realize it or not, you are doing that every day. Oh, today I'm going to go put my faith and trust in this counselor. I'm going to trust that they're going to give me the right medicine that's going to help, relieve all my anxiety and depression. And then you trust in the medicine that they give you. Oh, I'm going to trust that this is going to work. Hopefully this one works. It's like you're already choosing to put your faith in something. Why not just try putting your faith in the only one who knows how to heal you?
That, and I'll never forget, somebody said this to me one time, one of my friends, talking about God, and it's like, well, what if there is no God or anything like that, and just like, now I'm supposed to still go according to what the Bible says and all these things, and it's like, yeah, you're right. What if there isn't? But what if God is real? Then what? Then all your life going through all these things and the decisions that you made, what if God is real? And I'm like, yeah, you're totally right. That would change a lot of things, especially the promises that it makes in the Bible. You're just like, you're right. And after surrendering, I'm just like, oh, I'll never forget that.
Yeah. And if he is real, which he is, it's like, the Bible doesn't ask you to do anything wrong or kill anybody or hate anybody. Yeah. It's all good moral things.
Just love and compassion.
Love your neighbor as yourself. It's not anything bad. And it's like, why not strive to live more like that?
Right. Show everyone more love and compassion.
So I've worked for churches, and I have friends that go to church and stuff like that, but they have this idea of, and this might be a little controversial. If you guys don't want to answer this, it's totally fine. They have this idea of like, oh, if I keep helping people, I'll feel better. Do you think, do you guys do you preach that, or do you do that yourself? Or is that another way of like saying, well, this is how I can help my own, well-being, is just by going out there and helping people? Do you guys I guess, roll with that, or however you want to ask that?
Well, it's not necessarily about the works that you do in your life, but I guess it's one of those things of having love and compassion. I enjoy being able to help people because I know what it feels like to go without. I know what it feels like to go through struggles. So I absolutely hate having to see other people go through that. So I personally don't mind, and I do like to help just to alleviate some of that, the things that they're going through, some of those trials. So it's not necessarily about doing it for a purpose of your works or this or that. It's just, I genuinely want to show love and compassion for other people. It's not a good feeling to go through some of those things, especially by yourself.
Yeah, I agree. It's good to do good works for other people, but that's not how we're saved. And it does talk about that in the Bible too, that you cannot be saved by the good works that you do. It is only by the grace of Jesus that we're saved. It's a free gift that you cannot work for or attain in any other way other than accepting it from Jesus. And so once you do accept it, though, and you're filled with the Holy Spirit, I believe that there are times when he does ask you to do good works for other people. And when you're led by the Holy Spirit, he's not going to lead you wrong. And so, of course, you can't help everybody all the time. But definitely that will be a fruit once you do give your life to Jesus.
Like, one thing too, though, what I remember, I was going to it was like a group therapy type of thing. It was at that New Life Church. I'm sure you guys heard of it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a mistake, because I'm like, I went in this, it was more of a group therapy for ex-addicts. It wasn't really for mental health. So I'm like, well, I'm in the wrong spot. Like, I assumed the wrong thing. They're like, no, we're here for it. It's like, yeah, but we keep here talking about drugs. Like, I don't want to talk. I don't care about that. But I was like, well, I'll stay and listen, and I might get some cool insight. One of the guys, it was just kind of odd, and this is why I brought that up, was he kept saying, I just want to help people, and because I guess he was just starting out going to church or something like that. And he's like, I just want to feel good. And I asked him, I said, well, are you doing it to feel good, or are you doing it because you think that's your purpose in life, is to help people? And
yeah.
I just think that's where, like, I guess that's where the selfishness kind of comes in, because you're like, what are you doing if you're just doing it to feel good? Like, you're not going to get it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just was kind of odd on how he brought it up, and he just kind of looked at me when I asked that. He was like, I don't know what you're asking. I'm just asking, like, what's your real reason behind that? Because
right.
Like me, if I see someone struggle on the street, I'm not doing it because like, oh, I'm going to feel good. I'm just doing it because they're struggling. That's what it is. If someone doesn't have an extra $1 to buy their groceries, I'm giving them that $1. Not just, I don't need like a higher power to give me that idea. I see it and I do it. It's simple as that, And I don't know. I guess that's why I brought that up, because it's like, are they, what's the real reason behind why, people do that kind of thing?
Yeah.
As far as like in being a Christian and stuff.
Yeah. And another point to make too is that we're all at a different area in our walk. So let's say the race is 50 miles long. Some people are just starting out at the 1 mile mark, and some people are way ahead. And so I try not to judge people based on stuff like that, because they're at a different area in their walk than I am. And so we all just have to experience things the way that God allows them to grow us and change us in a way that he can use us to bless his people. Yeah. So I feel like he blesses us so we can be a blessing to other people. And I think that's true for everybody.
So have you guys, obviously you went through, what do you call it? Like, obviously your faith has been challenged, of course, over time. And obviously there was, there might have been a time like before that you're like, well, like you said, you were saying before, like it was on the back burner. But what would you say to someone like, or what advice would you give to someone that was like, well, there's no proof that you have that, that your life is better now because of this, because, that your, faith in God is strong and stuff. Like, what would you say to a person that's very critical of that?
I guess to try and prove or disprove. That's the thing, is I'm not here to prove anything or care about what others' view of me is. And if they're curious and they want to know for themselves, it's just like, I'll tell you how to get there. And once he changes your life, then that's awesome. Then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And but that's the main thing. It's just like, you can view whatever you want. I can tell you everything that he's done in my life. You can believe what you want to believe, but all I can do is pray for you that you're able to have the same experience.
Yeah, as far as like trying to prove it, it is kind of hard to do that sometimes, because like you said, anybody can say anything. But I will say that he has saved my son. My third son, Gideon, when he was a baby, he was very sick with something called Kawasaki disease. It's an inflammatory disease that affects the coronary arteries in your heart. And so during that time, I was in the hospital with him for 2 weeks, and we didn't know if he was going to live or die. He had developed aneurysms on his coronary arteries, and one was large to giant. And so we prayed and prayed and prayed. We didn't stop praying the whole time he was in there. And God spoke through my son Elijah and told me that he was going to save Gideon. And so it took 18 months for that confirmation, for us to get confirmation that he was completely healed. But it did happen, and he did save Gideon, and he's completely healed now.
Have you guys ever, like, I don't know, got any brutal arguments over, not brutal, but, harsh arguments over, like, people, like, being critical of, because you say, like, well, God took away this anxiety, or God took away this pain, or whatever it is. Have you ever gotten in a situation like that where it was just like, I don't know how to really explain it, but like just a brutal argument? Yes,
I really haven't. Like, I don't walk around like announcing it to everybody either. Like if the Holy Spirit leads me to talk about it with somebody, I definitely will. But I can't say that I've ever gotten an argument like, God did this for me, and they were like, no, he didn't.
Right.
Like, if you want to believe it, that's okay. If you don't, that's okay too. Like, I'm not going to argue with you about it. If you want to see if it works for you, just pray. And God loves being challenged. If you pray to him and say, God, please show me that you're real, that please show me that you can heal me. He loves hearing things like that. And he'll take the challenge and show you.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had that happen either. And I feel like he's changed my life, done a completely 180, has shown me a lot, and how to start living, down his straight path, and helped me quit many things I struggled with my whole life, and just, even like drinking and things of that nature, uh, to help with anxiety and depression, right? I thought it was. And that's why it was so hard for me to kick that. And I thought it helped me sleep and all these things. And I just got to the point where I'm like, I cannot do this on my own, and I need help with this. And I just prayed and prayed about it, and I just couldn't believe it. It was super easy to get over and stop doing those things that I, thought I could just fill the void and put a Band-Aid over my anxiety and depression and all those things. And yeah, I was delivered from that, and I'm very grateful, because I never thought I would be able to ever kick any of those things or get out of the lifestyle that I was living. And I'm just really grateful for it.
Yeah. One thing I did want to ask you guys, because Ryan he couldn't really explain this, but we were talking about it before the podcast. So I'm sure you guys heard of the artist NF, right? The rapper.
So.
I haven't.
So he's a Christian. He's actually one of the very few Christians rappers that is mainstream. There's not very many rappers like him. But there was this one thing that he did I think in his last music video, where his like eyes were blacked out, and it was like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it was just basically like blood was dripping down his eyes. And I guess I didn't know this. Ryan said that's a sign that he's like, some people I don't know what the term what he used, but he said it was like a thing that some people go through as a Christian. It's like they're feeling the pain Jesus felt. I don't know if you guys heard of that. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
I
tried looking it up, and Google's like, I got nothing for you, man.
I don't know what that'd be called. I don't think I've necessarily heard of that. So that's kind of new to me.
I have not actually heard that either. That's very interesting. I would be really careful on whether to believe that or not, because that doesn't sound like something that God would do, to me anyway, because that sounds like it could be really scary to witness.
Yeah, I don't think he went through it in reality. I think it was more of like a symbol type of thing. Like I don't know how to explain
that.
It.
Just like, if I was standing there watching that happen to somebody, that sounds like it would be scary. And God does not give us a spirit of fear. And so I would really question, like, what is making that happen? Because I don't believe it would be the Holy Spirit. I think it would be maybe a demonic spirit. So I don't know.
It's a little fishy. Like, why are you darkening eyes? And
it's not darkening eyes. I couldn't remember. I would have to ask Ryan more on it, but but so like NF, he actually has a song called Fear, and he always talks about God in his songs. Not like to the point to like where it's like preachy. It's more like, well, God's been there for me, and he, I've actually, I ain't gonna lie, a lot of his music has helped me. Like, a lot of people say like, oh, he just always talks about sad things. I'm like, are you listening to the words? Because it's not sad. It's just, it may be a sad tone, but he's talking about his journey and how he's overcome it in a lot of ways, and like what he has done. And a lot of people always think it's weird too, because it's like, well, Travis, you're not Christian. It's like, because dude, it's not always about like, just because like I'm not sitting here being like, oh, I don't believe in God, but who cares about his word? It's not like I'm thinking like that. A lot of the things I think does come from the Bible are very inspirational. It's like, wow, that's a really cool story. And I can like,
I mean, he's not giving out a bad message, right?
Yeah. It's just like he has a song called Hope, and in the music video, he's like searching for hope, and how he talks about how like God is helping him find that. He's giving him the map, and then he follows that path. And I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. Cause it's like, it's not preachy. It's not, and it's not, it's still like a Christian message, but to me, I always think it's a very smart way of doing it. Cause you're just saying, hey, this is what I went through. It doesn't mean you have to, go on my path. This is what I had to do. And I found it very inspirational. Like how you guys are talking about this, like, you're not sitting here telling me to believe in God. You're not sitting here telling me to pray. You're not telling me, like, you're just saying, hey, this is what I went through. Maybe this can help. I'm not saying do it. I'm not saying don't do it. And I always that's why I kind of wanted to bring that up, because it's in a way and it's relatable. But
right. And I think a lot of people get caught up and they're like, well, what religion are you, or this or that, where it's very, strict, or it's like, the most important thing I get out of it is you like genuinely building a relationship with God, with Jesus, and not saying I'm Christian. It's like, no, I follow God and I follow Jesus. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not a religion. I know that it doesn't matter what church you go to or what religion you're associated with. It's all about having a relationship with our Savior, with our Creator.
And that's the thing, and I think at the end of the day, it's just your own path. I chose this, like I chose to do the podcast. And people always like, oh, nobody ever listens to those or whatever the case is. I'm like, no, maybe there's that one person. It's just that one person. That's all that matters. And you just gotta, and that's why, like I was before the show, I was like debating, oh, what do I ask? What do I bring up? Kind of thing. And I think it's not about, I don't think it was about like, oh, it doesn't matter what topic we get on. It's just a matter like, I just wanted you guys to share your stories, because I see a lot of, I see a lot of hurt in the world. And honestly, I don't know, maybe one day I will be Christian. Maybe I won't, who knows? But I think it's still inspirational to me, and I think it's great, and it's awesome that I know you guys personally, because it's like, and I think that right there is just bring positive to life. And I hope one day someone else listens to it and maybe it'll help them. And that's the only reason why I want to do it, because we're just in a really messed up spot in this world, and it hurts me that this system, or whatever you want to call it, is not paying any attention to it. They don't care. And it just sickens me. And it's like, well, I got to do something. I don't care what it is, but I got to do something. But
yeah. And I love that you're doing that, because it's definitely needed. We definitely need to start talking more about strategies and ways to help end this mental health epidemic that's going on. We need to stop all this suicide that's happening, and
start looking after each other, and get rid of the selfishness, where it's like, check up on your buddy, check up on, everyone around you.
Yeah. And somebody has to start the conversation. So kudos to you. Thank you for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be praying for you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, you guys' story was I really liked having you guys on and everything. And I think this, I mean, even if I might have messed up words and messed up questions, it was kind of hard to ask, but I think it just helps me like see more into things, like, okay, so what's like, how would I say this? Like, what in the future? Like, what? I don't even know. Scratch that. I don't even know. got lost train of thought. But I wanted to think.
Like? What does the future look like?
Yeah, just what the future looks like, and like what I always think of, like which guests to have on. And honestly, I don't know. A lot of people they deny coming on because they're like, oh, I'm too scared for that, or whatever the case is. I've even had she was an ex-addict on, and it's like I don't, like, even though my own thoughts process on drugs, like I hate drugs as more than anybody, and like dealing with, growing up with a sister that was doing that stuff, I still like, okay, well, this person has a journey, so the other people say, hey, there's light at the end of the tunnel, kind of thing. But I wanted to thank you guys for coming on. It was a pretty good talk, and I don't know, maybe we can do it again in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
And letting us share our story.
Yeah.
There's so much more to it. I mean, I wish we had more time, but
All day.
Well, I mean, if like I said, we could do it again. I actually plan on, hopefully, down the road, when we get our own place, I want to just build a little studio, because like in the basement, it's just kind of, I don't know, it's whatever. It's got to do with what I got, but
yeah.
But, all right, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you,
so
Travis.
much.